Do you ever wish that you had a little power pole? I've got a tiny power pole. If you're interested in joining the club of little power pole havers, then stay tuned, because today we're going to be talking all about how to get the Have a Little Power Pole title by performing physical super attacks 77,777 times. By extension, we are also going to be kind of covering the other ones as well, for unarmed supers and for Ki Blast supers as well. Okay, so we are primarily going to focus on the weapon super attacks, the physical super attacks here. Just because it is the hardest one to get, because there's the fewest amount of characters with that type of super attack in the game. So, we're going to be going over the best strategies as far as where in the game you should be spending your time in order to grind out all of these super attack performances, and, the team building strategies as well we will be going into. Alright, so to get us started here, the very first thing that I want to do, just to give a little bit of an overview for players that are unaware, we'll go ahead and go into, oh my goodness, the character list here. Okay, we'll go to my team building tag, so that we've only got one copy of every unit here. And we're going to filter by each of the super attacks. So if you're looking for what type of super attacks a character is going to have, you can filter your box with these special selections down here. Now, the other type super attacks, there is no title for that one, so we don't really have to worry about that one. So if we filter by Ki Blast, this is what we're looking at. Looks like I've got 480 units here that have Ki Blast supers. So a decent roster, quite a few to select from, right? And then if we'll go ahead and look at the unarmed, 289, so a little bit less, but still quite a few, right? Not too bad there. And then if we go ahead and look at the physical super attacks, the weapon supers as they're commonly called, we've got 59. There's very few units with these, which absolutely makes sense, right? Because of the way that Dragon Ball Z is, most units don't have like a sword or a gun or something like that, right? So these are a little fewer and farther between. But that's why it's not very easy to get the title just throughout playing the game, because it's not very common for you to even be using these units on teams, since there are so few of them. Okay, so the first thing that we'll get into here is where should you be grinding out these titles, right? Because you could absolutely just passively do it as you're playing the game. You could just make a team of all units that have weapon supers and go into you make it for your daily stages, so your daily Master Roshi stage and stuff like that. I promise you, if you do it that way and you're only running daily stages to try and get these done, it's going to take you years, actually years, to get the title. So if you're interested in earning the title, then I would definitely go for a more active strategy for it, right? Like, even if you go to the lengths of grinding every new Dokkan event that comes out with the Weapon Super team, and, basically any content that isn't like some challenge content with restrictions, or, a story event with a drop rate bonus or something like that, and you just grind the whole rest of the game every time you play it, with like Weapon Super teams and stuff, and then you go and link level all of the Weapon Super characters as well. And then you go and link level them on their different forms, right? Like all of the different awakening levels of them and stuff. I promise you, by the time you're done with all of that, you're still not going to have the title. It just takes way, way too long to get these for each of the titles individually, right? Now, the other two you are going to be passively getting over time. If you're a long-time player and you've been playing the game for years, it's possible that you already have those other ones accumulated naturally just from grinding the game over a long time, but the Weapon Super one, it definitely is going to require some special attention, right? So, I'm going to start out by telling you guys what the absolute best strategy is for getting that title, as far as, where in-game you should be focusing on playing in order to earn it, and then we'll go from there, right? Because there are going to be some alternate strategies that you can go for if going for the best strategy isn't going to be it for you. And in order for us to do this, there is actually going to be some prerequisite farming, which I haven't done on the global version because I've had that Weapon Super title done for a very long time, right? quick self-glaze, I was actually the first person in the world to get this title. If you're curious on learning more about that mission and that journey, I have a video on my channel called I Beat the Truth DT, acquiring the, weapon super title, performing physical super attack 77777 times. So yeah, I have a video on my channel I'm very proud of about that, because I was able to get to the end of that grind before even Mr. DeTruth, right? But yeah, so because I've had this title for so long on the global version, the extra experimentation I've done in more recent times has been on the JP side. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to the JP side of the game here real quick. And then we'll be taking a deeper look at things here. Okay, if this will pop up, awesome. All right, so you can't read it because it's in Japanese, but this is actually the weapon super title here on the JP version as well. I did very, very recently get it. In fact, on my very first live stream that I did, well, I guess it technically was my second, because I did one that was like a test live stream. Actually, was it in that one? No, it was in that one. It was literally in the test live stream. It's a VOD on my channel. You can go and see it. It didn't actually proc on screen because I was playing the global version of the game, but while I was playing global, I was grinding the JP version on the side, and then I noticed the weapon super title pop. So that was a pretty hype moment. But yeah, that happened like just last week. So the way that I got it here on JP, stop beating around the bush and just get to it, we actually did it through farming Easy A. So we did one specific stage here. The one that I selected was the Broly, Chilai, and Lemo stage. Now notice we are at an astronomically high level. This is an LR Easy A, mind you. If this was just a TUR Easy A, level 193 is definitely not that crazy or impressive or anything, but on an LR Easy A, obviously that is a lot harder to do, and takes quite a lot longer to get through than it would just on like a normal TUR Easy A, right? But there's something special about these LR Easy A's in-game that is basically kind of a cheat code for being able to earn these titles, right? So there is something that happens on these stages. Now, every time you clear a stage of an Easy A, the boss's stats increase. They'll get more HP, they'll get more attack, they'll get more defense, right? The game is actually coded to only be able to calculate up to a certain number. Once you go past that number, the game actually can't calculate those numbers anymore. And what happens if the game can't calculate them is they turn to 0. They just default to 0, and because the game doesn't know how to handle them otherwise, right? So basically the idea here is what you want to do is you want to grind an Easy A, an LR Easy A, up to a high enough level that it bugs out, and the amount of damage output that the boss is supposed to be doing is higher than what the game can possibly calculate, so the number of damage dealt is literally 0. And then, once you're at that point, you no longer have to worry about the type effective category, you no longer have to worry about actually using LRs in the Easy A, you can literally jump in with whatever team you want, which is why you would see, this is my previously cleared team. Currently working on the Ki Blast Super title. It's the last of the 3 that I have to do on the JP side of the game. Yeah, this is the team that I am using to clear this Easy A. I have cleared the last, like, 5 stages of this Easy A with this team right here. Yeah, basically the way this works now, because we don't have any LRs, so they're not going to be doing added damage, and then obviously the type effective category is only for defense purposes, which again is not relevant because the boss isn't doing any damage to us, but they still have their HP, right? The HP number has not bugged out and been, set to 0. The HP number is still something that the game can calculate, which means there is just billions and billions and billions of HP on this boss, and we are doing next to no damage with any of these characters, just because we don't have any LRs on the team, which means we can sit in here for hundreds of turns back to back to back to back to back and just blaze away, getting as many of these Ki Blasts as possible, right? Because all of these units are Ki Blast super characters. We've tried to optimize a little bit here for like some additional attacks and things like that, which again, when we get into the team building portion, we'll talk a little bit more about. But yeah, so basically, I'll want to make sure to mirror my friend lead as well, so we have the weakest possible team we can take into here, so we're not overkilling the boss at all. And then I'll just show you guys how this works. We'll let it run for a turn or two. That way you guys can just witness before your eyes the way that it goes, that, you know, even though we're on stage 193 of an LR EZA, we're literally just taking 0 damage with anyone here. Pretty wild when I learned that myself, honestly, that this was even a possibility, because there is a backup strategy that we can go for, aside from this, that we'll talk about, which is basically the way that I got it on the global version of the game. Oh man, unfortunate that we dodged the super. Would have been cool to see him get double-digit tank the super, but you can imagine, you know, if this boss were hitting the way it's supposed to be hitting, we would be taking, you know, upwards of 50 million, 70 million damage from these normal attacks, with these characters, like, hands down. If you don't believe me, go and try it on, like, stage 100 or something of this EZA, right? But yeah, so basically that's the idea there. You guys get the gist of it. And if you see, we did basically no damage at all here. You can rack up, depending on what EZA you pick, what level of that EZA you're on, and then what team setup you have going at the time. You can get upwards of turn 1000 on these EZAs, and that will take you, you know, upwards of like 16 hours to clear. So basically the idea here is whenever you're not playing Dokkan, whenever you have the ability to put your device down and let it sit idle, you just enter into one of these EZA stages and let it do its thing. So it's basically auto-clicking without an auto-clicker, right? Because we're just doing one stage on auto, but because it takes so long to clear, it essentially feels like an auto-clicker, right? So yeah, basically that's what I've been doing with the JP side of things. If I'm grinding challenge content on the global version and I'm not able to like actively pay attention to the JP version, then I'll just run one of these stages. Anytime I go to work or leave the house for a long period of time, because I leave my second device at home, my JP account doesn't come around with me the way that the global account does, then I'll just start one of these EZA stages, and then same deal when I'm asleep, like when I'm going to bed, I just run one of these stages. So literally the way that it's been working for like the last week that I've been running this stage is I'll, when I'm getting ready to go to bed, I'll start one of these stages really quick. Immediately when I start the stage too, I app reset. Just because I'm using an older device, I have an iPhone XR that's running my JP version of Dokkan Battle, so I do get app crashes from here and there. So just to make sure I don't get any accidental app crashes overnight, you know, from the cache filling up and stuff, I'll app reset and then let the stage run while I'm sleeping, and then in the morning it'll usually be like less than halfway done, so I'll just do another app reset to refresh it so it doesn't crash again, and then I'll go to work, and then when I come home from work it's got like 1 or 2 bars left of HP, and then I can just end the run and start a new one if I'm ready to just, you know, rinse and repeat if I'm not going to actively play the game. The other thing to note here is, like I said, I will quit out. You do have the ability to quit out. You do not have to clear the run for the super attacks to count. You can, you know, you can actually just, here, like, we'll turn auto off because we're going to actually quit out so we can start talking about the next little bit here. But you can actually forfeit the run, and it will still count all of the supers that you've already done, right? This works the exact same way as app resets do. So imagine when you reset the app, you have the ability to continue a stage. You don't start over, right? When you app reset, it doesn't take you back to the beginning of the fight. That's because the game caches caches this data in between every single turn that you do, not in between every single fight, right? So that's why you don't have the ability to go back a turn, because once that turn has been finished, the game cached it and it exists in the game now. That's why you can get an app crash in the middle of a fight like this, because the game is caching after every single turn that happens, right? So that means that all of those super attacks that we just did for the last, 4 turns of this run are cached, they exist in the game, and they cannot be taken away from us. So if we were to get a game over right now, we would still we would still have earned those things. So, like, same idea, the same thing works with, like, link levels, right? If you're link leveling on a stage that has, like, 5 fights, and then the first 4 fights, you earn link levels throughout all of those, and then you get KO'd on the 5th fight, you still earn all of those link levels from the previous fights. Those still exist. And then whatever super attacks you did throughout your time in there, they still add to your tallies, even though you got the game over. So the same works. It works the exact same way for quitting out. So we'll go ahead and quit out of the stage, give ourselves that force game over. But I promise you, I'm 100% sure, I promise you, that those do count up. And unfortunately, other than straight up earning the Key Blast title on camera after quitting out of the event, there's no other way that I could really prove that to you. So maybe I'll attempt to do that. Like every time I'm about to quit out of this stage, I'll screen record, and then maybe at some point in the future I can put up a YouTube short proving that. You know, that when you quit out of the event, you do actually earn those, because I'll show like earning the Key Blast title right after having quit out of the event, right? So we'll see. Maybe I can do that in the future. But for now, I don't really have a way to prove it. But I promise you that that's the way it works. And that's how I actually earned the Weapon Super title. I quit out of this event so that I could do something else on the JP version. And I noticed that I just got the title all of a sudden after quitting out, right? So you don't have to clear the runs in order to do this. Now, to talk a little bit deeper about what Easy A's you can do and what stages you need to get to, like how are you supposed to know when these bugs happen, we have a cool little community resource here from, I believe it is Sisu. I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly. I'm pretty sure it's Sisu, so I apologize if I am butchering your name, but thank you so much for gathering this bit of information for us, and is going to be very helpful. So we have this little infographic here that shows us all of the Easy A stages, the LR Easy A stages that are bugged. Now, the reason why we're using LR Easy A stages is because the TUR ones don't actually get enough attack output to cause these bugs most of the time, right? Or all of the time. So LR Easy A stages are definitely where it's at. So if you notice here, there's going to be a little bubble in the corner of each of the indicated icons there. That is going to indicate the number of HP that the boss has. So the green ones are the bosses with the smallest HP pools. The blue ones have a medium HP pool, and then the red ones obviously have a really big HP pool, and the black ones just have a massive HP pool, right? So very, very few of those on either end, right? And then the level numbers here, this is indicating the level numbers where those bugs happen. Now, based on the way the math works out, you notice that the bug doesn't apply and then stay there forever. It actually goes away at some point, and that's because there's some weird math. I'm not a mathematician myself, and I do not understand these things. It's literally been explained to me directly to my face. Shout out Luca Pigeon. And I still don't fully understand. But basically, it was like... there's like a multiplier on it, and once this multiplier goes past like the power of 2 or something, then the game bugs out and it can't like calculate it anymore. But then once the multiplier goes all the way up to like the next power, like the power of 3 or something, then the game can like recalculate it all of a sudden, and it like refreshes and starts over. I'm not exactly sure, but just know that there is basically like a circulation in the math there that allows the game to all of a sudden pick it up and detect the damage output again. So that's why this bug is not like infinite, but it should not be too much of a problem for you, because like I was showing you, it's going to take you hundreds and thousands of turns to be able to get through all of these hundreds of stages that's available. Like if we're focusing specifically on the Broly Chile Lemo one, right? The bug started for me at 188, so I started doing the Key Blast super team, and I got myself all the way up to like level 192, because sometimes I was actually clearing the stage, right? And the team that I was using for the Key Blast, when I was originally starting the Key Blast, I wasn't using a perfect ideal team for it, so I was actually clearing it in a couple hundred turns. So it, after a few hours type of thing, it was going down, and then I was able to move on to the next stage. But we have so many stages available to us that even if you were to use a non-optimal team, meaning like someone that has like a really low leader skill and like doing no damage type of thing, and then you do all 3, the Key Blast, Weapon Super, and Unarmed Super title, you just have so many stages available to you here that you really shouldn't need to worry about like the bug finishing and stuff, especially if you apply the force quits, right? And you're doing that for yourself. Sometimes you're not always clearing the stage, then you're just going to be even better off there, right? Salvaging the amount of stages that you have until the bug goes away, right? So basically this is giving you that indicator. Notice that a lot of these stages, the bug doesn't start until a much higher number, which means you're just going to have to farm through the stage itself, for a long time in order to be able to get to the point where the bug procs. I want to say it took me like 4 or 5 days of grinding this EZA in order to get it to that point. Obviously, wasn't grinding like all day, every day, super heavily, and if you're doing it on your primary account, it might be a little quicker for you, but yeah, it took me about a solid 5 days or so to get this up to the bugged number. And note, this is one of the medium HP ones. That was the reason why I went for this, because I wanted to give like a little bit more of an accurate representation of what that might look like. This is the only EZA that I've grinded to these extreme heights, is this one here. There is also a second graphic. I haven't showed it off yet. I should switch over here and show this too. So this is the other set of EZAs. Same exact graphic, just more EZAs to look at, right? And a lot of these have much lower HP pools. Now, the thing is, there's a trade-off, right? If you go for one of these ones that has a lower HP pool, yes, you're going to be able to clear the stage quicker to be able to get yourself to the point where you're at the bug stages, but that also means they're going to have a lower HP pool to work with once you're at that point. So then you're likely going to be clearing the stage a little quicker. So if you're trying to go for the strategy of like, put the stage on and go to sleep, you're probably not going to want to have one of these stages with the low HP. Otherwise, you might clear it, and then your phone would be sitting idle for hours. Whereas if you were on one of the higher HP threshold stages, then it would still be clearing through the run by the time you wake up, right? You know, if you want to be able to just let your phone go idle for like 16 hours at a time type of thing, then you definitely want to avoid the green dots here. But I think at least the blue dots are gonna service you. In fact, I'm pretty sure, yeah, Broly, Chila, and Lemo is the only blue dot, and then from there it just goes up to the 1 billions. So, but yeah, these ones here on this first page are going to indicate, you know, the ones that have a really, really low number to get to, right? Like this Broly might be a good stage to do as well, just because you only have to get to 156, and then he's got a massive HP pool, right? So it's probably going to take you longer to get through this one than it will to get through this one. Even though it's 30 less stages, he's got more HP on each of those stages, so it's probably going to be difficult. But yeah, just know that these are all of your options here. Hopefully I've had both of these on screen long enough for you to be able to toggle back and forth and make your selections as you need to. But yeah, big shout outs to Sisu for this resource. We would be lost without you on this strategy for sure. So yeah, that's the basic idea there for you know, for being able to maximize on these EZA stages, right? Okay. Now I guess one other thing that I can talk about here is the team that I originally used to clear this stage, which I didn't think about prior to starting this video here. Let's see. I guess we can do it here. Okay, so the team build that I actually used was Goku's family here. I'm trying to remember the full build of what I did. What did I do? I know I had these guys on the team. Who else? Would it have been... Would I have put AGLUI? I'm pretty sure that's what I did, was, I did AGLUI, Kaiku, and then I think I just did the tech androids. Let's see. Oh, I'm filtered currently. That was just coincidental that all of those units were there. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so, yeah, this was the team build that I used to clear the EZA. Now, remember, as I already mentioned, on LR EZAs, the type effective category is only there for defensive purposes, whereas the, in order to do, you know, offensive damage, all you need to do is have two LRs linked together so that you have the legendary power link skill up. That's it. So that means you don't really have to consider a different team for each one of these EZAs. You could use this team right here. Now, the idea here is to try to get the Daimaforku to get his EX super attack, and then you can just absolutely destroy through this EZA. And that was kind of what I was doing, right? Is like, if he shows up on turn 1 and you get his, you know, his EX super to proc, then you just win, basically. It is pretty much how it's going. And if he gets hit though, after being super, or after he supers, he's still gonna die. So that's where the tech androids kind of come into play, just depending on the way your rotations shake out, right? You've got all of these other units that have guaranteed or close to like survivability, right? Obviously, the physical UI and SSBE have the one turn of guaranteed dodge, and then the next turn of like the 100% damage reduction. So they can survive pretty easily on this. You have the blue boys with 80% chance to dodge. You have AGLUI with a guaranteed dodge on his first appearance, and then, you know, amazing dodge from there on. And then Kaiku, who is guaranteed to survive the first hit that he takes, and then has 80% dodge beyond that, right? And then obviously we know what the tech androids do with their ability to Ghost Usher on their first appearance there. So that helps out a lot, right? So with this setup of units, I've been able to clear all the way up to this stage. So I don't think that you should have too much problems. Now, this team might not work out for if you choose to do an EZA that has, you know, one of those more massive HP pools, just because, you know, you do basically the first time that Daimaforku has to take an attack, you're dead. So you know, you have to be able to clear it by the time he does his first EX Super. Now, if that means that you have to get lucky on turn 1 and have 3 other units there so that no one's taking any damage or anything, like, I guess you could get pretty lucky, right? You could have, like, turn 1 be your 2 UIs and then the blue boys here. They could all dodge every attack, and then you're safe. And then turn 2, and now you've done some damage, right? Because they are LRs, right? So they are going to be proccing that LR, the legendary power link skill for you and doing some damage. And then you have tech androids on turn 2, and then let's say you have Kaiku and then Super Saiyan 4 Goku, so the 2 of them are going to be able to link, and then you get the EX Super off. You could do more damage, and because it was a Ghost Usher turn, you don't have to worry about taking any damage. You come back on turn 3, you've got, you know, these 2, you floated UI or something, and then now you have the other Daimaforku. You can put him in slot 3, so now you have all 3 slots worth of attacks, and then as long as he finishes with his EX Super by the end there, then you would be fine, right? In a situation like that, that would have been massive overkill for this on stage, like, 188, right? There's no way we would have ever gone 3 turns going through 2 Daimaforku onslaughts of attacks. Basically, the way it was working out for me on this EZA was as long as I was getting 1 EX Super with one of the Daimaforkus, I won. Pretty much simply that, right? And there were a couple of times toward the end there where I had really bad orbs and really weak attacks with the other units on rotation, and you know, they survived with like a bar of HP left after he did the EX Super, and we didn't get lucky with the RNG. He didn't launch an additional, and then I got clapped, right, and had to run it back. But that only happened a few times. For the most part, if I got the EX Super with him, we killed. Because the EX Super is going to be a guaranteed crit, and you have type advantage here on this stage. That's another really big point about doing the Broly Chi Line Lemo stage, is that you have type advantage with your main attacker. So that's going to help the amount of damage output you're doing, which helped me massively, right? And, you know, as far as strategies for team builds you could use to get far in LR EZAs and stuff, I don't have too much other information about this. I'm not really an EZA grinder because I'm too busy link leveling. So I've never really had time to invest into this, and I haven't done a ton of research about it too. I'm not really tapped into that side of the community, so I'm sure there's some other places you could find resources for, you know, other team builds if you don't have access to this one, or if this team isn't working out for whatever EZA you decide you want to grind for. But all I know is it worked well for the Broly Chi Line Lemo EZA, so feel free to, you know, use it for that. Okay, so that is everything that I have for you on the LR EZA side of things. Now let's go ahead and talk about the alternate strategy here. We'll just switch back to global, because why not? No real reason not to here. Okay, so the strategy that I used on the global version, if it will show up here, there we go, If you're uninterested in grinding an LREZA to, very high heights, or, for whatever reason you don't want to, if you're a new player and you don't have the ability to because you don't have a lot of these exclusive units available to you and stuff, which, honestly, if you're a new player and you're going for grinding these titles, then big shout-outs to you, because this is a super endgame grind anyway, right? So there's probably not a massive pool of people that are going to be unable to achieve one of these high heights in an LREZA and, be interested in grinding these titles anyway. But if you are, or for whatever reason, you have an aversion to EZAs and you don't feel like doing that prerequisite work, well, good news. You can get started on grinding your title right now. All you got to do is come down here to Boss Rush in the Challenge tab. These Boss Rush stages are going to be very helpful for you. One in specific. So if we come down here, look at the graph. Usually the way it works out is it's like 5 fights per stage, but on the very, very first couple of iterations, they switch that up on us a little bit. So specifically, stage 2 on the Super 2 difficulty is actually going to have 14 boss fights back to back. Right, so 14 Dokkan events back to back that you're going to be facing off in. This takes about something like, I want to say like 25 minutes-ish to clear. With a somewhat weak weapon super team. But again, these events that you're facing back to back are very, very weak. So even with a quote unquote weak weapon super team, you're still taking down these bosses pretty easily, right? I want to say you're gonna get somewhere about like 50 turns worth of grinding in here, and most of those turns, more than half of those turns, you're going to just one-shot the boss, so you only get the one attack on that turn. I've counted it a few times. I've watched the game run through this entire event on auto, and I want to say you get around 70 super attacks launched by the time you're finished with one whole round of this. But it is another place in game where you're going to be able to grind without spending resource, right? Because it's a challenge event, so it's free to grind it. You don't have to spend any stamina or anything like that, which is obviously also true of the EZA stages. So yeah, you could just sit in here with a weapon super team and you'd be perfectly fine. I don't think I would recommend this weapon super team. I'm not sure where I got the idea for this one. This is an ancient build. Was this what I did on... No. I did something else when I got it on Global, because I was using, some of these units didn't exist yet, right? Like, I don't even think Yajirobe was in the game when I got this title. And a lot of these units didn't have their EZAs yet either. So they were much weaker. But I was doing the Tech Ultimate Gohan strategy. So I did Tech Ultimate Gohan. I had his own SSR on the team. And then I had multiple versions of this Trunks. It was, at the time, the un-EZA'd TUR, and then just the UR unit. In fact, it might have even been the UR and the SR on the team together. And then I also used the STR Super Strike Trunks on that team as well. And then same deal, like 2 versions of him being like his Max Awakened at the time and then whatever iteration below that. And that was the team that I used on this to be able to run through it when I initially did it on Global. But yeah, so this is the other space where you can come to grind your titles out if you so choose, right? Okay, now, to get into the team building aspect of things, let's go ahead and come over to the team tab and take a look. Okay, so I've put together a couple of different weapon super teams that I would suggest to you guys. So the very first thing that you want to consider, the first and most important, is the leader skill, right? Obviously, it's going to be the most conducive to you to have an all-types leader skill, just because that way you won't have any team-building restrictions. You can bring whatever units you want on the team, so you're going to want to consider your leader skill first. Now, the other thing about the leader skill is you want it to be very low on stats. Now, especially if you're going into the EZA stage, where, the bosses don't do any damage, so you don't need to have real stats. The idea is to do the littlest amount of damage possible, so that you can be in that stage for the longest possible time. The stage that I was first running on JP, where I, was working on my weapon super team, I was using this as my leader, and he has a 70% leader skill, and then all of the units are on that, obviously, because it's all types. With this unit as my leader, I was clearing that that Broly, Chila, and Lemo Easy A in like 400 or 500 turns. And then it would end. Because this leader skill is actually too strong, right? So you want to try and go for something lower. Now, here's the thing. You still want to make sure that your leader has access to Ki, because Ki is going to be the key. If without your units getting a bunch of Ki from the leader skill, or in lieu of, you know, Ki from like passive skill support effects and things like that, then your units aren't going to be super attacking. And it's going to be a massive waste of your time if you manage to build a team that isn't linking together well enough, doesn't have enough Ki support from passive skills, from leader skills, to even do super attacks. You're just going to have a bunch of turns where they're all launching normal attacks. And that's not going to be helpful for you getting the title at all, right? That's literally just going to be a waste of your time. So you want to try and maximize while getting the lowest stats on the leader skill. You also want to get the highest amount of Ki possible on the leader skill as well. So for this first build here, what we came up with is this. We have got the turn 1 transformation Great Saiyaman here, who is going to be superclass Ki 3 and then stats 40%. Now notice that he is not Easy Aid. We purposely got another copy of him that's not Easy Aid, because after Easy A, he gets a 77% to Defenders of Justice, which you can easily avoid the rest of your team being on Defenders of Justice, but he himself is on Defenders of Justice, and then also your friend lead is going to be him as well, right? So then you're going to be massively boosting the amount of damage he himself is doing, and that's not great. So because of the way his passive skill works out, there's no additional supers or anything that he gets at the Easy A level that he'll be like losing with the uneasy aid portion of his kit. You know, same with like Ki support or anything. So it works out well to just be able to have him at the base TUR level. And then the second unit we've got on the team here is the Oolong and Launch. So this unit, you can have fully Easy Aid. In fact, I recommend that you do, because of this part of the passive here. There's quite a few additionals that will be able to proc in there. Now, they are conditional procs. You need to have another Earthling category ally attacking in the turn in order for these additionals to proc, but if they do, you've got a decent chance to get some additional supers there, which will be very, very good for you. Now, the main thing to mention here is that one of these doesn't start procking until the 5th turn from character's entry, right? So that is going to be serviced well by the LR Easy A, where you're going to be in there for hundreds of turns. On the boss rush stages, you're going to be finishing fights within 5 turns, and then moving on to the next battle where that would reset, and you won't get that. The other thing I guess I forgot to mention is that he has a turn 1 transformation, right? So you're going to want to do this on the LR Easy A, where you'll get that turn 1 transformation one time, and then you can go for hours and hours and hours without seeing it again. Whereas if you're on the boss rush stages, you're not going to want to use him, because every time you jump into a new one of those fights, you're going to have to sit through the turn 1 transformation animation, and that's just going to take a bunch of time, right? So, yeah, both of these units are definitely more conducive for the LR Easy A strat. Then we have this Goku Youth. He is actually the SSR for this unit right here, right? This unit does not have its weapon super in the LR form. It only has the weapon super down at the lower levels here, right? So we've got the base SSR here. And then he has an additional as well with an Earthbred Fighter category ally attacking in the same turn. Hope you're noticing a theme here as far as the way this is working out for us, right? Then we have Glorio and Pansy. They are in their max awakened forms because they've got some extra additionals and stuff that are going to proc in their max awakened states here. So as long as she has a Glorio or a unit that has Daima in the name attacking in the same turn, she can get an additional super attack. And then Glorio kind of works the same way here, where as long as he has a Daima or a Pansy in the turn, again, not a Daima category unit, but a unit with Daima in the name, or Pansy, then he will launch an additional super attack as well. And then, as the last unit on the team, we have Daima Mini Goku, conveniently a unit with Daima in the name. He gets a guaranteed additional just in base, which is really nice. And then, as long as there is another Daima, and then Glorio or Pansy, he is going to get up to 2 more additionals there. So lots of additional super attacks to roll around on this team. Their additionals, actually, I'm realizing now, are not going to proc, because you need to have an Earthling in the turn. There's no other Earthlings on the team. Interesting. Okay, so they are... this unit might actually be suboptimal. I don't know if this is going to be the perfect unit to have on the team. You might want to choose someone else. In fact, 1 second here. 1 second. Let me cook. Yeah, he's got a Ki Blast. Bullocks. Okay, I'm actually just now realizing that that is not ideal for her to be on the team, because there's no other Earthlings to give that extra additional. So let's see here. We've got... Now, here's the thing about replacing with an Earthling, any other, like, Earthling category character. Well, I guess it doesn't have to be an Earthling, right? The only Earthling restriction was her. For this unit, we have an Earthbred Fighters restriction. So now our leaders are going to proc that. The Great Saiyaman is an Earthbred Fighter, and then Daima Goku is an Earthbred Fighter. So if we're going to take off the Oolong and Launch, we want to at least make sure to replace it with another Earthbred Fighter character. There's a lot of different Peppy-Gal characters, namely like Bulmas and Chi-Chis, that have Ki Blast Supers here that would also proc that. So that can be a really good option for you. I suppose we also have this option as well. The Dokkan Fest Daima Mini Goku is an Earthbred Fighter character as well, and he's going to have Daima in the name. So this might be overall the best possible unit that you can use as far as being able to proc everybody else's, like, passive skills for their additional attacks and stuff. But the main reason why I didn't want to suggest him for the team is because I wanted this to be a full free-to-play build so that no matter what units you have or don't have, you have the ability to create this team for yourself, right? So that is kind of what I've come up with there. I guess we could go, like, this guy. He is technically free-to-play, but he's only available to you during the anniversary, because he's a special anniversary unit. So he could be a decent option. Who else free-to-play here? Kicking myself these days that I have destroyed my free-to-play tag to not be able to quickly filter for free-to-play units, right? We do have the Bulmas. Yeah, this Bulma, I believe she needs, like, a Goku Youth, which we're not going to have. Or a... Oh, wait, actually, hold on. We would. She doesn't have any additionals, though. It's just stats and stuff. Does this Bulma have any additionals? She does not. Yeah, I don't know that there's going to be too many better options for you. Again, fully free-to-play is the thing, right? This is another Earthbred Fighter, right? Yeah, she is an Earthbred Fighter. Again, doesn't have an additional or anything. But yeah, so I guess the only other unit you're going to want to try and make sure is on the team here is someone with an Earthbred Fighter, you know, that's on the Earthbred Fighter category. And then again, if you want to stray away from free-to-play, then you could use this guy to be another unit with Daima in the name, and that would help you out as well, right? So that is basically the idea for the optimal weapon super build that I've got for you on that stage. Now, here's another... I've got another weapon super team. I've got actually two more here. That I am showing off here. So we have the SSR for the physical banner unit Bulma, and then the SSR for the AGL banner unit Mai, right? They are serviceable leaders because they are going to match us here. They're actually even lower stats because they're Ki 3 and only 30% to stats. Now, that's only because we are in the SSR form of them that they have access to that 30% stats. If you awaken them, that is going to go away. So you definitely want to have their SSRs available to you. Obviously, these are not free-to-play friendly teams at all. We have some, you know, summonable SRs here. We even have a Heroes unit featured on the team. But with these ones rounding up the way that they are, we're able to get a good amount of additional super attacks. Now, the reason I've chosen these guys is because of their passive skills. He gives himself some Ki in passive, which is just going to help him super attack, right? That is one of the main focuses, again, to make sure that we have enough Ki for all of our units. So those guys should be pretty decent there. And then Launch is a wonderful pick for this, just because she's got a bunch of... Oops. She is, again, a turn 1 transformation unit. So this is another unit that you want to make sure you don't have if you're doing the boss rush stage. But in the easy age, she'll be fine there. But she has a good amount of additionals in her attack, in her passive skill as well, and they are just basic effects, so she doesn't need anything to proc them. She just always has them regardless of the team that you've got her on, which is really nice for her as well, right? And then I believe Dabura is going to be the same way. yeah, he's got an additional built in, and his only condition is when you're facing one enemy, right? Which is going to be most of the time in that boss rush stage, and then obviously all the time in the LR EZA stages. So yeah, that is a pretty decent team there. All right, and then we have this one as well, which is going to be focused around AGL and Int as opposed to the physical and AGL. So we've also got the Mai here, but she's our leader this time. We've got the Dabura, he's back. And then we have all these Int units, which again, very, very not free-to-play friendly, right? We have 3 completely unattainable units on this team because we've got the 2, the one summonable heroes unit, the one, the singular free-to-play heroes unit that came out in the most recent hero celebration that was only purchasable in the Baba shop, so she doesn't have a story event that is like in the Portal of Memories or anything, so you literally can't get the female warrior in black anymore. But she is a good option for this team. And then we also have a World Tournament SR, which you can no longer summon for. But her in her awakened state is pretty good. So if you are a longtime player or a big whale or something and you have access to these units, then this is going to be a really solid team for you as well. She is actually giving key support to all allies. So that's going to be huge for being able to actually dish out your weapon supers, right? And then there's quite a few additional attacks built into all of these characters as well, as some good support spread across the team for key and whatnot. So yeah, these 3 teams are like the biggest 3 that I can recommend to you. Again, if you're full free to play, just stick with this first one here. And then if you've got access to the characters, you can do some variations of the builds here. Now, you know, feel free to shake up these teams with whatever other units you have. Obviously, many of these units are interchangeable with other units that will qualify. You know, pretty simple stuff. If you want to use the Int Mai, all you have to do is go AGL Int, Weapon Super, and then there's your options, right? You can look through your entire box and see what you have access to. You can use any units on the team, try out different stuff, see what's linking well, see what's able to get, you know, key easily when you're on auto. You know, there's quite a few other good units here that I haven't mentioned on these teams that are available to you. No, like for example, one of the really good options is Chilai, right? She gives massive key support to everybody, so she's going to be very helpful for that. Across the team, it's just one thing that I'm trying to avoid is heavy stat support, right? One thing that you're going to run into if you're not able to use some of these like crazy niche teams is that you're going to be forced to use units that are a little stronger, right? So anytime you can, well, almost anytime that you can use the SSR of a character, the unawakened version is going to be better for you because you're going to be dealing less damage so you can stay in the stage longer. The one thing you want to do is cross-reference their passive skill because sometimes they will get additional supers in their passive at the awakened state, and I think that overall is going to be more worth your while than nerfing their kit entirely just to give them less stats in the unawakened state, right? So compare between those two things when you're looking at units if you have the option between the awakened or the unawakened version. But that's how you basically team build for this. The only other thing is that you want to avoid using LRs, right? Because LRs are going to have, actually, Ginyu is a shitty example because he's got a lot of super attacks. Okay, so we'll take a look at like Goku and Arale here, right? They have multiple super attacks. Now, there are very, very few LRs in the game that have the same type of super attack on their 18 key as they do on their 12 key. Most of them are different, if not all. I'm actually not sure if there's any that are the same. But I'm pretty confident that there's not a single one that has a weapon super on both the 18 key and the 12 key. So that is the reason why you're not going to want to use LRs on these teams. Again, aside from the fact that LRs are really strong and they have higher stats and they're going to be dishing out way more damage and stuff, you're definitely not going to want to be using LRs in these team builds. Just because, you know, then if you're on auto and they're selecting key, you can't really control between whether they're getting the 18 key and the 12 key. If they don't have additional supers, you might not be able to get the other one to proc, right? That type of thing, right? Because it might even be lucrative for you to just force 12 keys and then they're a unit that happens to have a bunch of additionals in their passive, and so it's going to be all 12 keys, and then you're going to get a bunch of weapon supers. But if you're on auto, you can't keep them from getting the 18 key, right? So, like, it's just going to be tough. I just would not recommend using LRs. I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah, definitely not going to be a good idea for you. I guess another thing I didn't even mention that you could potentially play around with, especially with, like, the free-to-play build where you can just go and rebuild this entire team for yourself, is not giving any hidden potential to these characters and not super attack leveling them. Because if they're at super attack 1, they're going to do even less damage. I think that is going to be overkill for sure. If you use this team build right here, and you you have all of them at 0% in the hidden potential system, and all of them at super attack level 1, you're going to be able to sit on that Broly, Chila, and Lemo Easy A stage on a level 188 right when the bug happens. You'll probably be able to run that for like 150 hours straight without stopping, without clearing the stage, I'm sure. And you do hit, by the way, fun fact, I made a YouTube short about it a little bit ago when I hit stage turn 1000 in that Easy A. Once you hit 999, it just stays at 999, and it just keeps giving you turn 999 over and over and over again. So yeah, you would just be there infinitely. Which I guess if you want to like go on a cruise or something and then just leave your phone at home, I mean your app's gonna crash at some point, so you're gonna have to have someone monitoring that for you eventually. But I guess if you just have a secondary device or something that's just rolling Dokkan all day, every day, that and you're just checked out and never playing Dokkan anymore, and you're just doing that with it, then sure, I guess you could do something like that. But basically, you don't need to apply all of these tactics in order for this strategy to work effectively. But if you're applying as many of them as you can, then you're just going to be better off, right? Okay, so that is everything for the Weapon Super title. Now, it's basically a rinse and repeat for the other two titles, right? Obviously, my suggestions for the stages that you should be playing are exactly the same. Those are your two options there that you should be going for. The Easy A stages or Boss Rush, even for the Unarmed Super and the Ki Blast Super. It makes no difference, right? The only difference is in the team building. Now, I haven't gone to as great lengths to construct teams for them. One, because again, you clear them a lot easier, so, players are often not going to be looking for as much help with those as they would with the Weapon Supers, and two, there are a lot more units as options, so it's just already like a really overwhelming set of units that you can choose from in order to be able to do these. So what I did instead of actually building entire teams is I just took the liberty of selecting some good leaders that you could use so that you at least don't have to try and hunt down these low stat, high key units that are going to be available, because again, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of units to choose from, whereas with the Weapon Supers, it's a pretty small roster anyway. It shouldn't take you too long to be able to filter through all your leader skills and see what you've got available. So I went ahead and did the work for you on this one. The 6 best leaders that you can use for the Ki Blast title here are going to be Super Hachiyak. He gives all types Ki 3 and then 30% to stats. Here, let's do it this way, in fact. Okay, and then for... okay, yeah, so the second unit that we've got here is Daima Mini Vegeta here. This is not the TUR. Note that it's not the TUR, it's just the SSR here. He has the Ki Blast with Ki 3, attack and defense, and HP 40%. And then the Goku at the SSR level is going to be the same. Same exact leader skill there for you. We have Kid Gohan and Icarus. Again, this is the SSR, the Unawakened SSR, which obviously it doesn't change between the Awakening of the SSR to the UR level, but he is not the TUR, right? This is the SSR version of here. He is going to be tech and physical types, Ki 3, and then attack and defense and HP, like stats, 30%, right? Now, this this STR Gotenks is absolutely cooking, dude. Look at this. So he's got Ki 3, just Ki 3, no stats at all. He's giving... It's only when HP is 50% or more, right? Now, it's weird, it doesn't say all allies, but I promise you that it works that way as all allies because it's a leader skill, so it's not just going to be for himself. That would be really weird, right? I'm almost 100% positive that even though it's not listed, like the reason that the all allies portion isn't listed is just because there's some funky shenanigans with it being conditional with the HP. But I'm pretty sure it's all allies get Ki 3. If it's not, if you end up using this guy as your leader and it's not, then that's going to be a bad thing. You definitely want a leader with Ki for all allies, right? But this is going to be really, this team is going to have some aura for sure, because you're going to have no stats at all. So you're going to be just doing like absolutely no damage. It's going to be really funny if you use this one. But you'll still have the key to super attack, which will be nice, right? And a big thing I also forgot to mention with all these teams is that being able to dupe your friend lead just means that even if you're using any of these shitty, random, like, unawakened versions of free-to-play characters and stuff, you can just dupe your friend lead, and you're always going to have access to the same exact leader on the friend side of things. So you'll be able to mimic this exact card right here for yourself if you do use him as your leader, right? So yeah, that one could be pretty funny. But again, as I've mentioned already multiple times in the video, this is better for the Easy A stage because you're trying to do as little damage as possible, whereas in the boss rush stage, not having any stats, you're probably actually going to get KO'd, and then that's not going to be helpful for you, right? So you are going to need to bring somewhat of a more real team for the boss rush stage. For the boss rush stages, I honestly would even just recommend straight up bringing, like, the strongest leader you can, and then you could bring weak units on the team is fine, but you just want to have the strongest leader possible, basically. So for all of these, like, really, really nerfed leaders, I haven't actually test run them on the boss rush stage to see if, like, these 40% stats are going to clear it, but I'm assuming, because I was playing Dokkan back in the day when all those events were new, that's not going to be enough for you. Those stages were hard to beat on, like, 120 leads sometimes, so with 40% leaders, you're absolutely going to be taking KOs. The first super attack that one of your unawakened SSRs takes in a you know, the final stage of a Dokkan event, you're going to die. You're not going to live that. And it's not like you're going to be one-shotting those bosses where they don't have the chance to super you if you are, you know, if you are using such weak teams with weak leader skills, right? So this is mainly for the Easy A that you want to optimize these low leader skills anyway. Okay, then we have this Goku. He was one of, is this the World Tournament one? No, yeah. This is one of the Worldwide Celebration reward selection cards. So he's available in the shop during the anniversary time period. All types, key 3, attack, HP, attack, and defense 30%. So yeah, those are your best leaders for the Ki Blast side of things. And then for unarmed supers, this is what we are looking at. We have another one of the Worldwide Celebration reward cards. The counterpart to that Goku, this Frieza here. So all types and 30% to sats. All types key 3 and 30% to sats. Okay, so then we have this STR Hercule, which I believe is also earned from the same place. He is another one of those reward cards from the Worldwide Celebration. I didn't list them all here because some of them have slightly higher leader skills, or they have like category restrictions in their leader skill, the way that this one does. But there weren't as many good, like, all types leaders and stuff for the unarmed super attacks, so I did include him here. But any and all of those units are going to have really solid leader skill options for these. It's just most of them are category restricted, or like I said, they do give a little bit more stats, right? So this guy's only 33% to stats, so not too much more, and then it's just Android Cell Saga that he is buffing there. Okay, so then we have this free-to-play Android 18, who's going to be 30% to stats here, and then key 3 to Universe Survival Saga, which is a really, really good idea, because, one, there's a lot of free-to-play characters that you can use here, which means refarming your characters for the SSR copies is not going to be too tough, because you're not going to have to, like, hope for, like, summonable units or anything like that. And the other thing is that Universe Survival Saga category characters have the Tournament of Power link, which is massive, because it gives you key 3. A link that gives you key 3. So you have 3 key from your leader skill, 3 key from the friend lead, and 3 key from the link. That's already 9 key. If they have any other link, like, and a lot of times they're going to have, like, 1 or 2 other link skills on their card, most of the time when you're doing a Universe Survival Saga category, you're just going to be at all 12 key from the start of the turn. So it's really, really simple to be able to get yourself, you know, all the key that you need. But yeah, so she is a decent option. Note that she is the SSR of this card. That is going to be the better leader skill for you. Then the next one that we have here, like I said, there aren't quite as many good options on the unarmed super attack side of things, unfortunately. So we do have, wait a second, is this even an unarmed super? It's not even an unarmed super. Why is he listed in the unarmed super list? Oh, it's because I was looking at the LR. And I didn't realize that the TUR doesn't even have the unarmed super. Okay, so this guy doesn't count. He does not count, because he doesn't even have an unarmed super. Silly me for that one. Man, yeah, it is very slim pickings on the low leaders with the unarmed supers, right? Okay, so then there's this Hercule, who is a login bonus card. I can't exactly remember how you get him, actually. I want to say it was, like, a specific day logged in that you got him. I really can't remember. Maybe it was, like, day 777? Or something like that. because he is based around like the 7s, right? Like he has the 7,000. I don't actually remember, but I'm pretty sure he's a login card. So you have him or you don't. But he's got that really funny leader skill as well. Just 3 key for you, and then nothing else. Okay, and then the last unit we have here is the TUR for Daima Vegeta, who is going to be an all types 50% leader there, and then has the unarmed super attack as well. So yeah, there you go. That's some ideas to get you started here, and then you can kind of be creative with your team building from there. I've given you guys the formula. I taught you to fish, so now you got to go catch some fish for yourself. But, you know, as we are using the Peppy Gal overlay here, I will remind you that specifically for the Weapon Super build, Peppy Gals are going to be a really, really strong way to go in lieu of using the teams that I have given you, just because there are a lot of Peppy Gal units that have the Weapon Super attacks to begin with, and then also they link up very, very well together, similarly to like how we talked about Universe Survival Saga, right? The Peppy Gal units are going to be having, like, a lot of them have Battlefield Diva, which gives a heavy amount of ki as well. And then, you know, the additionals being built into their passives is just a really, really common thing to see from these Peppy Gal units, which is just going to help you out earning a lot of those. So, yeah, that is basically everything that I have for you guys today on these titles. You should be able to climb your way to victory now. With, you know, these teams built here. And then, as you can see, the Ki Blast Super team that I'm running on JP is mostly Universe Survival Saga, because it helps everybody link up real well. And then I've got, like, the very low leader skill and stuff, right? So, yeah, if you have any other questions, comments, concerns about the builds, about the strategy, any other places in game you think might be a good idea to grind that I didn't talk about or anything like that, feel free to list any of that in the comments below. But I'm pretty sure I've just given you guys every single little ounce of knowledge that I have about this grind, you know, past and present. So hopefully now you have the tools to be able to go ahead and get this ever elusive, you know, have a little power pull title obtained in your game as well. So good luck with that. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.